Marvel is a major IP that theme parks such as Disney and Universal have been using for years now. And with all these different Marvel attractions, surely there is some good and, well, a lot of bad ones. So in today's video, we're going to be talking about the best and worst of different Marvel attractions, whether it's MCU or just classic comic book Marvel, and if it's Disney and Universal. We'll just be comparing and contrasting these different attractions, and at the end of the video, we will decide which theme park makes the best Marvel attractions. So the way this video is going to work is we will be starting off with the worst Marvel attraction, then we'll go into kind of some okay ones, and then the best of the best. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. So as you can see here, we do have the Spider-Man Web Slingers over in Disney California Adventure, a pretty recent Marvel attraction. I think one of the most recent ones, besides Cosmic Rewind, and everybody already knows that this attraction just kind of sucks. You know, it's basically a video game only used for people to buy more things just so that way Disney can make more money. It's just not well done at all. It's super lazy. You know, everything about it is just really not cool, I guess. It's very Toy Story Mania kind of thing, except, you know, came out like a decade later, and it's just not impressive at all, really. It's literally a 3D video game, and it's just really boring in general. I don't really know what else to say about this attraction, except for the fact that, you know, they somehow managed to mess up an MCU Spider-Man ride. Next up on the list, we have the Ant-Man and the Wasp attraction. There's really, again, not much to say about this one either. It's just very boring for, you know, creating an Ant-Man attraction, and it's something that should be really creative and fun. It's just really lackluster in general. There's not, like, much to do with this attraction. It's literally the same thing as the Buzz Lightyear ride, where you had to, like, shoot different targets and stuff like that. You know, it's the exact same thing as, like, the Sally Dark rides, except, you know, it's just themed to Ant-Man and S.H.I.E.L.D. And the only reason why I place it a bit higher than the Spider-Man one is just because it's not all screens. There is a little bit of physical props in it, and it kind of does get the guest a bit more, I guess, involved in, like, with, I guess, the ride vehicle. Again, it's just very bland, lackluster, not much going on for it. Whenever I would think of an Ant-Man attraction, this is not really what I would think of. Honestly, they should have done something similar to Flight of Passage over in Pandora, where you would ride on an ant versus a banshee. I think that would be pretty cool. God, I really don't know what the deal is with the horrible MCU attractions, but we have another MCU attraction that is just, in my opinion, really not good at all, and this is the Flight Force roller coaster over in Paris. This thing took over Rock and Roller Coaster, one of the most iconic attractions of all time. I get it was a bit different than the one in Hollywood Studios, but it was still a pretty decent ride, and this took it over? Okay, I'll admit, the queue line's pretty cool, but the ride itself is just trash. I mean, at least the queue line, you know, has a really, really cool Iron Man animatronic, which is just phenomenal. As you see here, I mean, it looks pretty impressive. But then you actually get on the ride, and it's just such, again, a lackluster experience. All there is, it's like a dark room with maybe a few screens. It makes me so mad that this is what they do with an Iron Man or like Avengers theme attraction. Like, literally, you can do anything with this IP, and they choose to do something as lazy as this. It makes me super mad that this is what we have to deal with. The only things that I think are actually redeeming about this ride in general is the really, really cool and slick looking roller coaster train that you get into that kind of looks like the Iron Man suit. I love this design of this train. It's honestly one of my favorites of all time. It's so cool looking. I can't get over it. And the Iron Man animatronic is just, again, really cool. I love Iron Man. Who doesn't like Iron Man? He's an iconic, you know, character, just especially with superheroes and MCU. He is like the face of MCU. So, you know, of course they'd have to put something like this in here for him. Other than that, though, there's nothing really selling it for me. Even the launch, like the room where like you would launch in with Rock and Roller Coaster, was pretty cool looking, but with this one, it's just plain gray walls. Who wants to look at that? It's an MCU attraction. You do something better with this, you know? Just, again, very lackluster. And as you can see here, it's literally just a black room. It's literally Space Mountain. I just don't understand what Disney was thinking with this. And speaking of Iron Man, the next one on this list is the Iron Man Experience. This is basically Star Tours, but Marvel themed. And honestly, I feel like this concept could work pretty well, except I feel like this in particular is really rushed filling. I don't know. The queue line isn't bad. It's like a museum of some really cool Avengers and just Marvel and Iron Man just stuff in general that you can go and look at from the movies and stuff. It looks pretty cool. I'm pretty sure there's no like actual animatronics in it, but there is a lot of cool things to look at. However, the ride itself is literally Star Tours, except just with Iron Man, and the main thing I don't like about it is the fact that it just looks too cheap and fake. Like, the CGI in it just does not look good to me at all. And just the whole, I guess, sequence in general, whenever you're in that ride vehicle, it just feels like Disney was really trying to just dig for something to, put in front of you, like on that screen, and it just kind of leaves for a really boring experience overall, which again kind of sucks because you can do a lot with Iron Man. You can, have him face off some villains, you can get the guest involved in the story, and they just have things like this. This is literally a toned down version of Star Tours, and this ride came out decades after that. I don't understand how they went this low, honestly. It's really sad that a kind of average freefall attraction, not even that intense, is ranked higher than all these other brand new MCU themed attractions. This isn't even an MCU based ride, and it's a much older attraction too, but it's just something about this ride in general that, makes it pretty cool. This is Doctor Doom's Fearfall over in Universal Studios in Orlando, Florida, and overall, it's not a terrible attraction. It's definitely, not the best for Marvel, but it's not the worst either. You go into the queue line and it's not, it's not that bad. There's nothing too stellar about it, but it's also not the most blandest thing to look at. I think the coolest thing about this one though is just like the exterior of it in general is really nice just to look at. It's iconic looking, and for a comic book Marvel themed attraction based off of a villain, it's not terrible. Speaking of which, we do have another comic book themed Marvel attraction, being the Incredible Hulk coaster in the same exact park, really right next door to it. This roller coaster is honestly not too terrible with its theming. Even though, again, it's not the most stellar theming in the world, I do appreciate it quite a bit. The facade of it, like the entrance sign with the roller coaster tracks ripped up and stuff, and Hulk kind of carrying it, is really, really well done and nice. And even the launch sequence is super creative with how you can kind of hear him turning into the Hulk, and you have the mist and the green lighting and stuff like that. It's really, really well done. And the entire coaster just fits the whole theme of Hulk with just this big rampage going on. And Hulk is one of those rides that I feel like doesn't need a whole lot of theming to kind of get the point across, like, hey, this is based off of the Hulk. So I feel like what they did with it is really well done, and honestly just creates a really iconic and good Marvel attraction that's not based off the MCU. And with that being said, we have now officially entered into the really good Marvel-based attraction, starting off with the Amazing Adventures of Spider-Man over in, again, the exact same park as the other two, Islands of Adventure at Universal Studios. This is how you do an IP-based attraction, especially a superhero one. This is exactly what I would want in a superhero-based attraction that's, I guess, not a roller coaster. It uses screen elements, but it also uses a lot of physical props too, and just a lot of physical effects as well, such as fire, water. It's a 4D experience, which is really, really cool. And what I love about this attraction is just how many characters are actually in it. Real characters that you can actually see in some of the shows and films and comics of Spider-Man and, other superheroes as well, such as Dr. Octopus, Hobgoblin, Electro, and, other characters as well. There's a lot of characters in this attraction. It's really impressive how they managed to fit all of these in here with still somewhat of a thrilling experience, and just the set pieces in general make you actually feel like you're in this comic book world. And again, just the effects are so cool. You can actually feel the heat coming from Dr. Octopus's like torch gun, and then the actual fire effect that comes out whenever he throws his pumpkin bomb. Just it's so amazing how they honestly did this, and the finale of this attraction is really well done as well. Just everything about it, to the audio, it's so cool. I absolutely love it. Speaking of using actual characters, the Guardians of the Galaxy Mission Breakout is up next. Now, this is a ride over in California Adventure, and is definitely the more superior Marvel attraction out of this one and the Spider-Man Web Slingers attraction. This ride is phenomenal, especially from the fact that it was made in under a year. Now, I get a lot of people are upset about this attraction just because it took over Tower of Terror, and honestly, I was too. I love Tower of Terror, but this attraction might just be better than this. You walk into the queue line, and you're instantly hit with so many MCU, memorabilia, and just, in general, a lot of MCU Easter eggs, stuff like that, such as Cosmo, and different alien creatures that are actually physical props and animatronics, not just lazy screens. These are actually really detailed looking things. You even have like the Ultron head in there, which is just awesome. And they do have a screen in there, but that kind of just is a side thing that helps set up a little story that they have going on here for comedic purposes. And it just overall, it really makes you feel immersed into the MCU. This is a good MCU based attraction. It has actual props in it that are from the MCU itself, so you know what you're stepping into, kind of thing. And let's not forget, of course, the stellar pre-show that Mission Breakout has with the super impressive Rocket Raccoon animatronic. this straight up brings you into the MCU universe. Like, it actually feels like you're in the movie and a part of the story that they're trying to show you. Super, super well done. I love how Rocket actually has to bring the guests into the story. Like, they're a necessary component of the story to break the Guardians out. Just brilliant overall, phenomenal attraction. This is how every MCU-based attraction should be. And even though the ride itself is mostly just screens of the characters and stuff like that, it still nails the tone of MCU perfectly, especially the Guardians of the Galaxy movies, with its comedic, timing and just overall fun experience in general, that I feel like the other MCU attractions don't really do quite as well. Now, you all saw this coming. This is the best Marvel-based attraction, at least in my opinion. Honestly, Mission Breakout is a close second, but this one is honestly unbeatable. This is yet another Guardians of the Galaxy attraction. Cosmic Rewind, which just opened up in Epcot about a year ago. Again, just such an incredible attraction that absolutely nails the tone of the Guardians of the Galaxy, just like Mission Breakout does. And just everything about it is super impressive. Even though this one doesn't feature, as many physical props and no animatronics in it, it doesn't really need that to tell the story good, in my opinion. Like, just it's so well done, just in general. Like, everything about this one is stellar. The pre-show is incredible. The ride itself, unlike Mission Breakout, this ride itself actually kind of beats the pre-show, in my opinion. And what I love about it is that, just again, like Mission Breakout, it brings the guest into the story itself. It's a completely different story with these characters that we all know and love, and it's not lazily done. You can tell that they took their time with writing this story. There's just so much going on with it. It feels like you're watching a whole other MCU movie, which is how it should be. Whenever you go into these IP-based attractions, especially like Marvel and Star Wars, you don't want to be there sitting and watching, a mediocre side story of these superheroes. You want to actually be able to sort of live an actual film, an actual battle with these characters, and I feel like the Guardians rides is, the perfect example of that. Even Rise of the Resistance is honestly a pretty good example of that. You're going through the ship trying to escape, Kylo Ren in the First Order. But I feel like Guardians does it better, and I kind of wish that they would just sort of try that with the other MCU characters as well. I feel like Iron Man, like I said, could be a good example of this. Just Avengers in general has a lot of potential to be a really, really cool attraction, and I hope in the future that they actually do something better with them in general. But Guardians of the Galaxies, their attractions are perfect just the way they are. I hope they strive to be more like this, but I kind of doubt it. And with that being said, that concludes the list of the best and worst Marvel-based attractions. Now, I want to hear your guys' opinion on the Marvel attractions, whether it's Disney, Universal, MCU, or comic book-based. I want to hear what's your favorite Marvel-based attraction. Now, again, this is kind of just my list and what I sort of think is the best, so this is mainly my opinion. So yeah, I definitely want to hear your guys' opinion, and I kind of just want to see what in general is the most popular Marvel attraction, because in my opinion, I think the most popular one is probably the Spider-Man one over in Universal. That one's just an iconic attraction, really. But I've also heard, most people say they like the Guardians one as the best Marvel attraction. So again, just please tell me your thoughts down in the comments below, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.